Hello, friends. We are here with Lisa Lola today. I'm so excited to talk to you. It's been a while. And Darcy is going to read her bio before we get going. Darcy?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I am introducing Lisa Lola today, and we're going to talk about channeling. Lisa Lola is a spiritual teacher, mentor, intuitive healer, and consciousness guide whose main emphasis is opening people's hearts and bringing spirit online for them. Through one-on-one spiritual counseling sessions, transformational healing work, and heart-centered courses and trainings, this supports clients in awakening to their true nature, reconnecting with spirit, and expanding their capacity to love. Lisa uses shamanic healing, channeling, energy healing, and spiritual counseling to help all of us break through conditioned patterns of thinking and behavior that aren't serving us. Lisa supports creating meaning where there's confusion or loss, provides assistance in processing painful emotions to heal and support through life's most difficult transitions and upsets, such as divorce, breakups, trauma, job changes, childhood wounds, tr- and so much more, all the things we deal with. Lisa teaches clients how to connect with their own intuition and activate their psychic channels so they can be their own source of guidance. Her sessions are transformational, activating personal growth and spiritual development. And in the conversation today, we're going to find out more about Lisa and what channeling is exactly. So, with that, I'll hand it back over to you.
Lovely. Yay. Well, Lisa Lola is in Kansas City out here, so I'm kind of excited to get to have a session with you one of these days, girl. And you've come highly recommended by many people, and one of them actually was on our podcast, Brian Garwood. He had an extra special kudos for you. So thank you for being on and taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And for the listeners out there, the background that I get to see where Lisa Lola is right now is so fantastic. If you want to check it out on YouTube, you can. But it's actually really calming and relaxing. So thank you for being where you are, Lisa.
Yeah, I came to New Mexico to do two retreats last week, so I'm pleasured to be in the mountains of Taos right now.
Hmm, lovely. Oh, do you want to share a little bit about your retreats that you just had?
Mhm. Yeah, they were based on heart opening.
Mhm.
So the bond is truly where we're going to get the most healing is in the heart space. And so just doing a lot of work and bringing people's love back online and transforming fear into love basically over and over and over again.
Hmm,
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So what kind of activities did you do to do that? I mean, with the folks that joined you?
Yeah, and excuse me, there's a fly that is wanting to be a part of this. Um, yeah, so I work with channeling and group sessions and meditation. So taking deep people into their consciousness and activating their own internal medicine wheel, which is where the shamanic methodology comes in. So there's the four directions, there's the four seasons, and we have the four intelligence centers. So the mind, the body, the heart, and the spirit. And so in the meditations, I support people in understanding where they're living, which most people are living in their mind,
Mhm.
especially in the United States. We have a very mentally driven and oriented culture, society, family of origin, educational system. So, bringing people into awareness of how their mind operates and the blocks that are then present accessing their heart or connecting to their spirit. So, we get to know the blocks start to dissolve, then we get to the deeper layers of the heart. Once we get into the heart, that's where truly that energy pops and people start to come more into their authentic selves, where they open up and share about whatever's plaguing them, maybe on the surface level, and then we go deeper. So through channeling spirit specifically for the group, in one-on-ones, doing some yoga philosophy and meditations. I'm yoga certified and trained, and yoga is one of my spiritual practices. However, I wouldn't call myself a yoga teacher. It's not my main emphasis. I would say my main is that I'm a spiritual teacher, and so I channel divine guidance on behalf of the group. And I had two different groups last week, a men's group and a women's group. And honestly, what they have alive for them and what's blocking them really kind of guides me. So they bring to the table what's in the way of their life, being in flow and prospering in the way that they desire. And then I use spirit to identify where we need to go. And traumas and wounds tend to just arise from that space. And then we work with that raw material of what's alive inside of them.
So awesome. Can you share a little bit about, and I know you and I have talked about this personally behind the scenes, what this channeling thing is,
Mhm.
like when what someone would expect, like who are you, what does it mean, what does it feel like, who are you connecting with, and what kind of content usually comes from it?
Yeah, so it's a multi-layered answer, and I'm going to try to break it down into some digestible parts.
Cool.
Um, Every living being has what we would call psychic or intuitive abilities,
Mhm.
um, which means before we are able to physically see and physically taste and hear, we have an intuitive sense built into us naturally. The the mountains have it, the trees, the animal kingdom, everyone has this intuitive sense built inside of them. And in our culture, in this current day and age, our intuitive senses are really pushed down and repressed. And our culture is, we're taught to fear our own spiritual abilities, but we have them. So we have the clarisenses, which is clarisentience is I find the most common for people, which is that ability to feel the relational field around you,
Mhm.
right? So an easy example is, let's say you go to a networking event, you walk into an open space, and you can tell that like the energy is off, something has happened, and then you come to find out, oh yeah, like two people got into an argument, and something just feels off. You can feel that there is, you could say, negativity or fear in in the space, and that's your clairsentience. We all have that ability to feel when someone's maybe upset or sad. Um, and then our clairvoyance, that's that ability to have vision or imagery imprints. And so getting into channel means connecting with our higher, there's many words that people use and throw around. I use the term spirit um, as a field and as a realm of all divine benevolent beings that are in service to us. So that could be angels, deceased loved ones, ascended masters, just source energy itself. We all have this electrical current. We are an extension of source that's incarnated into a physical form. And so I connect people from the physical deeper and deeper back into that. Who is this person that's having this experience? Who is that being? And it's spirit that's incarnated it into a soul, into a physical form that's expressing as Lisa Lola in this current day and age. So taking people back deeper and deeper to who they are as a spirit, which is all knowing and all loving. I'm going to pause there because I know it's a really big question. And so I'll let you.
The pieces. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, that's super. It's a difficult question a lot, I think, and it's hard to sometimes put it into words, but you did a really great job, like, in being able to kind of help people understand. So maybe what we can, I mean, well, first of all, your retreat sounds fantastic to be in New Mexico and like being able to dive into these like deeper levels of ourselves and with it ultimately puts us back into our place of love. Um, Sounds phenomenal because I think that's, what happens to a lot of us where we kind of lose track of what really matters, right? You get into like the doing and all the things and that ultimately getting back to heart center is a great place to make choices and decisions and sometimes big life decisions from. It sounds like you also do some individual work, just not just in group practice. I'm wondering what kind of people typically come to see you.
Mm, it's a good question.
Or what they're after, like, you know, what they're hoping to get out of a session or multiple sessions or whatnot.
Yeah, typically people who are seeking alternative healing, they've either exhausted all the other options that are common in the 3D realm.
Mhm.
Um, so whether that be, everything has its place. So whether that be talk therapy, um, working out, people use exercise and movement. Um, they get to this place of not fulfilled, right? So they use art therapy, and then they use nature therapy, they use working out therapy, they meditate, they might read. I have a lot of clients who are like they're reading a ton of spiritual books. And I remember when I was doing that too in the very beginning, and it's wonderful. And at a certain point in time, they kind of recognize that everybody's saying the same thing and that mentally they're not getting further along on their transformational path. And so people often come to me when they've lost their sense of meaning and they don't even necessarily know it, but they're looking for something deeper. Um, I've had a lot of people that they come to me once they're extremely depressed. Um, and that loss of meaning, which is depression, right? It's like there is, there's not really a reason to get out of bed, perhaps. And what is the larger purpose of being here? Which is what got me onto this path. And so meaning making is essential for us to live as humans. Like, why am I here? And I need to serve a purpose, which is our connection to spirit. And that's how spirit really nourishes our life to keep going forward, is it provides us the meaning to be here. And that's what I help spirit people do, is develop their own relationship with spirit. And you can still have religion, you can find spirit in nature, but it's highly important that humans have their own relationship with God and with source. And that's what I help people do in connecting with spirit. And so channeling it, you don't necessarily have to go give a reading, right? You might not be putting out a shingle and saying, I'm going to do an intuitive reading or a psychic channeling session. However, having your own relationship with God and being able to channel spirit to direct your life is a life skill. Like channeling is a life skill. So I can use less of my mind to figure out life and to take the steps of what do I eat today? Where do I go? What do I do? How do I drive to X, Y, and Z? So instead of using the GPS, I channel into my own spirit's all knowing, benevolent GPS to give me the most effective route to get to where I'm going. That I then find I bypass an accident, right? I take a more scenic route. I literally do this. I won't use like GPS to get places if I have the time. Also, with just common everyday things. Like, oh, okay, what do I really need today? Do I need to do a yoga practice or do I really need to get outside and move? So to live a life that's less mentally driven, which is highly exhausting, and the mind only has so much energy per day. And it has so many beta brain tasks to do. So when we channel spirit, it's like it's a release of figuring something out. And spirit is direct and it has all the answers. It's just learning how to connect, ask the questions, listen, and trust. There's many points of that we've lost um really our ability to even ask for help, which is a huge part of working with spirit. They're not going to cross our will, so we have to be willing to ask and invite them in, which is the power of prayer, in religion. Like, okay, talking to God, meditation, listening to spirit, and then feminine energy, trusting, right? Surrendering that they know way better than my limited consciousness. There's like what we know that we know that we don't know, and then there's the unks, as I like to call them, what we don't know that we don't know, which is spirit. They're all knowing. And so channeling into spirit provides a life that is much more fluid and efficient and in flow with the natural rhythm of all. And so I noticed that I live a much more easeful and joyful path living in channel. I still have to use my mind, but to know that we have these intelligence centers of heart, which is infinite, most powerful energy, right? Love. And then spirit, which is all knowing and expansive. And so I can keep living in a much more broader, joyful experience than maybe what's happening in my current life, uh, which can really support people in challenging times, is that there is a team of energetic support that has our back, and things will change and get better, and we can ask them to support us through those times, and it works. It's like magic every time.
How do you, I think being in human form can be really challenging. You get pulled in our culture in all different directions. How do you maintain that status of like connection and like security? And I keep thinking about like my nervous system, like how it gets pulled in different directions in my work or in day to day life, just even in the outside world, like anytime I step out of this house, right? Um, so, do you have any tips or tools regarding that in regards to the work that you do?
Mhm. Some easy bite-sized ones. The breath. So the breath is air. Air lives in the east on the medicine wheel. The east is in Peruvian shamanic methodology, which is my teaching. The east is the direction of spirit. We all have a moment to take a breath, return to center. Also, energy follows intention. Intention is the masculine energy inside of all of us. And then attention is our feminine energy. When we work with our internal masculine and feminine energy, that's the divine union within us. Right? And so that is spirit. And so I use the power, like this morning, I'll give a real live example right now. Um, I'm in New Mexico, so I'm away from home. I just led two big, powerful retreats last week. I started to come down with a cold here. The altitude is different. I haven't been sleeping well here. Um, I had another rough night of sleep last week, and my alarm was going off this morning, and I was in a deep, deep sleep. And I've been feeling this cold coming on. And this morning it was like fully on. And it's like I laid in bed and I was like, how am I going to do this today? How am I going to show up and do this podcast? And immediately I went to spirit. Now that's very practiced. I've had to walk that path multiple times because it's like the human Lisa was like really not feeling like she could show up today because I just have like all this drainage and my head is really foggy. Like my physical form is like struggling to be here, right? Which we all have those days. However, my spirit is infinite and powerful and all knowing. And so I immediately just started getting into channel and talking with spirit. And I started praying. And what is prayer? I just asked for support. And I said, please support me in showing up for this today. And I there is an invocation that I teach people in how to channel, which is use me, spirit, as a divine vessel of thy love, light, and healing. Please use my hands, my expression, my heart, my words today to serve this platform for the highest and best. And so it is. So that's the intention. I give it to spirit. I surrender, trust, and let go. And then I just keep reconnecting to the infinite power of spirit. I call on my guides, and I was doing it the whole time I was getting ready this morning. I drew a card. I drew a few cards. I read a few spiritual, like, other people, right? I drew Mother Teresa this morning. I drew um, Diana. Yeah, I drew the goddess Diana, which was focused intention. Spirit has your back. So it's just like I call on my guides and the infinite power around me to support me when I'm having a physical experience. Yeah, because we are living in the challenge of duality, which is like my nose is running, I'm hacking. I'm heavy, like I have brain fog, and it's like, and and we are more powerful than our minds and our bodies know. And so, yeah, I'll pause there. I
Yeah.
hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I'm staring. I'm also chuckling because I chose a card late last week, a goddess card, and I got Diana sitting on my desk right
Yeah, Diane is sitting on my desk right now too.
now. I have a different image. Mine's a little bit creepier, but yeah, she's the same.
Yeah. So there's the power of spirit right there. I like to share this. That's a synchronicity. What is synchronicity? It's when spirit and matter line up. So it's when spirit incarnates into physical form, and that's how we know we're on the path and we're in divine alignment. And so keep going. And spirit is constantly giving us those affirmations, guiding us to keep going. Yes, this is the way, and also no, this isn't the way. Like don't like we'll get those experiences that aren't very comfortable or satisfying or maybe provoke fear. And it's like, okay, not that path, this path.
Right. I love I love this work that you're doing and how it also intersects with the work that like Darcy and I, and actually we happen to have another therapist on this podcast call that might ask some questions. The word mindfulness comes to mind because your work becomes so much more powerful when people take the time, right, to drop in. I was just listening to something this morning, and he was explaining how he fell into depression because he was just doing what he thought he needed to be doing and was in this robotic way and didn't have any drop time to kind of take a step back and breathe, or let alone pause. It just kept going, going, going. I keep doing what I need to be doing, and then looking up and wanting to die, right? And so connecting to spirit and being able to take the time to even listen to you in a session, right? Like would be just even a good first step. Um, and then being able, and that's why I was like asking those questions. Like I can imagine people getting so much juice from you, and then it's like I can see them propelling a little bit, but then how do they maintain,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's where like the partnerships with all of us as healers can kind of come in, as I'm learning and like interviewing all these beautiful people, like just how collaborative we all can be and helping people.
Yeah, the two things, the doing is the mind. And yeah, at a certain point, it's not fulfilling. So we have these other intelligence centers. We have the body, and we all experience when we go for a hike or a yoga and dance are my medicines that move my energy. That's fulfilling the heart connection, how fulfilling and nourishing that is, and then the spirit connection. So we have these portals of intelligence. So we have the mind, which the doing, yeah, it's nice to accomplish things and be productive. It's only rewarding to a certain degree, and then it's like, this is meaningless, right? Like,
Mhm.
what is the purpose of doing all this doing? And so that's when we go deeper, and then it's like, okay, once we bring the spirit online and we connect with the beyond, the power and magic of that is the true nourishment. It's like that really healthy meal. And so once people start to tap into that, um, they get that fulfillment that they're seeking, that our culture is directed to go to the mind first. So the mindfulness, which is great. So meditation, everyone needs a spiritual practice, I say. So how do we access spirit? Well, everyone needs to be in practice of spiritual connection. So the breath, drawing cards, sitting in meditation, going into nature without your phone, without listening to something, right? Getting into the sauna, getting quiet, having the things that bring your heart online, bring you joy. So whether that be, I mean, I go to a lot of dance classes, like I say, but I spend time with people that I can go into the depths with and go into like the deep heart space and truly talk about what's real and alive. And so that also is really healing. It's just allowing people the space to vulnerably share their heart and what their fears are, which it happens in my retreats. We do a lot of that. We get deeper and deeper into like what is truly plaguing the heart. And the container of the space creates a platform of safety and security so that they can heal and let go, because people are only going to be able to heal as deeply as they feel safe.
Mhm.
And the retreats containers allow people to kind of, we go through the layers of mind, doing, and the identity of who I am, and kind of like letting go of those parts and places to the rawness of the heart, which when that pops open and people finally say, yeah, I'm actually still grieving the loss of my grandparent, 3 years ago, that energetic release is, it's a heavy burden that is, people often don't know that they're carrying. And then they feel lighter and freer. And then they have access to um, more of who they truly are, and they're not like this just living, breathing kind of sadness that's happening in the background, or the resistance of depression, like your client was. And that's what I see a lot of times. We're doing to resist whatever the feeling, the hard feeling is,
Yeah,
uncomfortable, unsatisfying feeling.
absolutely. Um, Actually, I'm going to pause for a second. Darcy or Melissa, do you guys have any questions? Mhm. You want to start, Darcy?
I do. So, one, I want to thank you for being so aligned in yourself and being a channel of your experience. The way you speak is it's a reminder that there's not a rush, that intuition doesn't require a hurry or a frenzy, and being connected with like I use the term sometimes like my inner compass, with intuition or like spirit, my essence, uh, typically has me slow my roll versus speed up. And that's um, it can be challenging to really trust that slower pace or the pause. If it's not even that much slower, the pause in the world that moves so quickly, and wants things to move really fast a lot of the time. And you're just such an example and a reminder of the safety and the importance of it's like checking in with the pace. That's something that I have practiced a fair amount, and like Michelle used the word mindfulness. And it's not so much my mind. It's like I ask my mind to catch up uh, with that. And so I have a question related to that kind of how have you with yourself or with clients been able to identify what stands in the way of connecting with intuition and being able to really channel sincerity, authenticity, spirit, any of the words you use, um, when they're dealing with something that is, activating uh, quite a bit of stress, or they're not even really sure where to start, who they are, underneath all of the obligations or the demands of life.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just taking in your question, and I'm feeling it in my heart. And like right now, I'm just going to give a living example. So I'm asking spirit, and I feel. So my first clairsense is feeling. So I'm feeling your question and the nature of it, and then I'm asking spirit, and then I get visual impressions. What I'm drawn to is collectively this heavy, dense layer that's over the Anahata chakra. You could say the chest heart energy area. So not the physical heart, but the energy center. This area of the body, I'm noticing right now in relation to your question, Spirit is saying we're all as a collective carrying so much density and weight on our chests and then our backs. So this burden of fear, and that fear it creates a lot of distance between us and ourselves. And I notice for myself and generally for my clients, there's this buildup of fear on the chest, which then manifests as anxiety. And I'm noticing it even in my own breath. And I'm a body empath, so I will physically feel what people are going through, and I will physically feel what they're saying and what their question is. And so it'll start to manifest in my own system. So I'm noticing this tightness, this contraction in the energy of my heart space. So I'm going to take a moment to pause because Spirit's saying something else. So, how I would direct a client, first step is to notice physiologically that block and that burden that's living on this area. Does that make sense? So, there's this somatic experience of like, where are you feeling the burden? Where are you feeling the fear? I'm noticing it in the chest and across the shoulders and the upper back. I'm noticing that there is a contraction in my this part of my heart, and as I feel into it, I hear anxiety, which is that rush and that push through life. And so how do we stop something? Well, we have to be aware of what's happening first. So that the rushing and the pushing comes from scarcity. It comes from fear. How is that manifesting? Oh, it's like on the body part of the wheel, which is the West. It's like, it's literally living in my body right now in my chest. I'm feeling a contraction. I'm noticing my breath is starting to get heavy. I'm having a hard time like getting a deep breath. Okay, there's an anxiousness that I don't have enough time. There's not enough time, money, energy, resources. And collectively, there's a huge scarcity wound. And so that's what I hear with like the rush is there's not enough, there's not enough. And then that goes deeper into I'm not enough. I'm not enough. And so then we got to the wound. So we could dance around, with these like the symptoms of the wound, which is rushing from one thing to the next, filling the calendar, mind like getting things done, organization, success, accomplishment, certain amount in my bank account. And that's all of those are it's very far down the chain. But as we work backwards, which is the deeper work that I do, it's like, let's get to the source of what's creating this in the first place. So the manifestation of the wound that is, I am not good enough. I don't have enough. Therefore, what is that? I am not enough. And that's something to be with, right? And then boom, we get to the core of the wound and then we work there. And then as we heal the source, which is just the awareness that, oh my gosh, I'm living with this state of consciousness, living in this perpetual state that I am not enough. And it manifests in all of these ways, right? Like, I have to have this much in my account. I have to have this many friends. I have to have blah, 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 blah in the physical world. And it's never enough. I don't get to where I'm going ever. Or I get there and then there's a next bar that I have to meet. And that creates a lot of depression on one end and then anxiety. And so I'm just in this pendulum of depression, anxiety that goes back and forth, back and forth. And so let's just get to the source of feeling the absolute heartbreak that I'm not enough. And when people get to that place, there's a lot that gets unraveled. The heart goes off. Usually there's tears, there's feelings, there's like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that this is what's been happening. We grieve, we grieve, so we allow the grieving process. I walk people through that. And then we get deeper into the ancestral line, if people are willing to do the work of like where this actually came from, which the not enough consciousness doesn't originate in our own soul. And that's the power of spirit. Like we are enough. But we have a lot of programming that teaches us the opposite. Okay, I'll pause there.
Thank you.
Did you want to say something, Melissa?
I do have I mean, I don't know if it's a question exactly, but maybe it follows on some of the things that you were just talking about. One of the things that has come into my practice and my own life over the past few years is, I guess, this ego identification problem, and the differentiator between the identities of like, I am mother, I am, in my case, like psychotherapist, I am friend, I am lover, or whatever. And also, I am a body. I'm a person who I've had a chronic illness since I was 25, and it's part of what led me to my work. And the process of untangling those identities and finding a way home into some sense of intrinsicness, I guess, is the way that I have experienced it when I do. there's, I don't know, some kind of spaciousness there that does feel like love, but I don't know why this makes me emotional, but like it's hard to keep that tap open. So that's not a question, but I think maybe you could speak to that, like ego versus intrinsicness. Like it's not even just that I'm enough, but that I am, like I like what Ram Dass says, like I am loving awareness. Like that's what I am. And but staying there is woof. In that truth, like
Yeah.
hard.
Oh, so many things that are coming through to say to you. I love that you didn't have a question. You had a feeling.
Yeah.
It's the work that you moved from mind into the felt sense, and your heart came online, right? You're having feelings. Yeah. So we got more to your core essence, and the mind can see and identify, yeah, I have all these beloved roles, and we're not here to get rid of mother, purpose, psychotherapist, lover, friend, sister. The mind has this beautiful ability to identify all of these beautiful roles that are fulfilling, and there's still something deeper. And I can choose when I'm aware of the roles that I have. I can say, okay, now is time to be mother. And I choose it. And then when I'm tired and tapped out, I can say, okay, now it's time for rest. Or when I'm psychotherapist and I'm having a chronic illness flare up, I can call on the power of my soul and spirit to guide me through that role, to show up that day and use the infinite power of my spirit to, okay, I have to fulfill these tasks and this purpose today. And that surrender and trust of spirit, show me how, because the chronic illness is flaring. And to give yourself grace, and to trust and believe in grace and something has powered and guided you to keep showing up. And how many years of having a chronic, some sort of your body it's manifesting this chronic illness, right? Which we would call healing. So your body is getting well and releasing something that it doesn't need so that you can show up in your roles. I'm going to pause and I'm going to divert here to another part of your share that spirit was guiding me to. So we can use the mind because it separates one thing from another, that you can be these roles and show up in those ways, and still have your own experience of your body in its state, and that your heart can feel heavy and sad, and how it's taxed, the taxing of the roles. And the spirit is that loving awareness that you're talking about. So, yes, I am a mother, and yes, I am a lover. And yes, I am something more than that. And when I identify as just mother, I can lose myself in that and lose that infinite source of energy to keep powering myself as mother. So channeling gives us the power of the infinite source energy to keep showing up in our purposes. So you have a purpose as mother and a purpose as psychotherapist. And y'all, this is the power of spirit. This is amazing. So literally when I got into Taos Friday night, I was tired. I needed to just get a bite to eat. And my mind's plan was just to find a place that I could just quietly have a bite and go to bed. Well, I found myself at a place that was playing live music, and I was drawn into the music and people were dancing, and that is my jam, right? I'm like, well, okay, I'll just see how the vibe is and enjoy it for a little bit. Well, I sat down, had a like ordered some food, ordered a drink, like was just like got pulled in by the energy, like the atmosphere. Everybody was having a great time and laughing. And so I ended up staying longer, right? And people were coming and going around me. And then this group of gentlemen sat next to me. Um, and I didn't talk to them for probably an hour. And as the place was closing down, um, I overheard this gentleman start to talk about his skincare regimen that his grandmother taught him. And I started laughing because I'd gotten pulled into the joy of, I wasn't in like necessarily a hyped up energy mood when I got there, but the joy of the atmosphere really lit my spirit up with the dancing and the music. And so I was feeling happy and go lucky. And I heard this guy, and the way he just said it, it was just hilarious how these grown men were sharing their skincare regimens with each other. And I busted out laughing on accident. And the guy goes, "Oh, you heard that, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, pardon, I didn't mean to laugh at the content of your share. It's not like a normal thing. I don't hear grown men sharing about like how their grandmother taught them their oil of Olay skincare regimen." And the guy says to me, "Oh, yeah, it is funny and nice to meet you. What is your name?" I introduced myself and then I said, "What's yours?" And he says, "My name is Vishnu Das. I'm a descendant of Ram Das." And I sat with him for 10 years. He's my teacher, and he's the one that named me. And it means a protector of the servant. So there was something around like Das means servant or service. And then Vishnu is like protector of the servants. So just the fact that you said Ram Das, you brought him into this conversation, loving awareness. And I was guided by spirit, unbeknownst to me, into this little house inn. I wasn't meaning to have a collaborative experience with other people. My physical self did not have the energy to talk to people. I literally went in to meet the need of my body, which was to eat something and then leave. But then the joy of the space, my heart and spirit got turned online. And then I ended up connecting with a descendant of Ram Dass. And then we ended up talking about meditation. Yeah, synchronicity, right? And then here you are bringing him in. Yeah. And so, inherently, we can trust life. It's built into us to trust life, and we don't have to try. We really just need to surrender and allow, which is the feminine part of our energy. And we have to, if we would like to create movement in our own internal medicine, we'll just be aware of the hyper masculine energy really dictated into us that thinks we have to make all the decisions and do life. Life is doing itself. Like, look at these mountains around me. I have nothing to do with these mountains existing. I have nothing to do with the sun coming up every morning. Life does itself, right? And that allowing life to be done through me, the more I practice that, everything works out. And that's the power of trusting in our essence and just trusting what's around me. And that spirit is always caring for me.
And the fly cares too.
Spirit and flies are always around you.
God, thank you so much. That was powerful. That was really powerful. I feel like I need a part two with Lisa Lola. This will be the first on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, I think we might need a part two. because it's like one of those things you just want to kind of keep talking about certain topics that we didn't even get to. So,
Well, I would love that. And it's fascinating again that you say that. I just did another podcast where she asked me to do a part two. So I recently did a part two for Soul Space. I'll just call that one out. Yeah.
I love
So
it.
Spirit again, part two.
Well, we're going to have all your info below on the podcast so people can reach out to you for individuals and get information on your retreats. Any shout outs for anything coming up in the next month or two?
Yeah, if people would like to learn how to channel, I do a Healer's Level 1 Introduction to Channeling, and it's November 21st through the 23rd. It's a Friday evening, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And I teach you how to connect to your own higher self or to spirit and source energy, and how to start to bring your intuition online and open up your psychic senses and begin to sharpen your inner skill set, of feeling and sensing and your own visions, your own clear audience. We all have these abilities. They're just watered down because our environment doesn't teach us to use them. However, everyone can channel. It's not something special for me. And yeah, I'd love to have people. It's local in KC, and I can also make it hybrid if people would like to join online virtually.
Amazing. I'm definitely going to check it out personally. So thank you. Thank you again for being a part of us and just being such a loving vessel. Thank you.